It's the new year, and many of us are getting excited for what's to come. We're writing out our goals, we're dreaming about our future, we're talking about what resolutions and changes we're going to make. But before any of that can happen, before our goals can be accomplished, before our dreams can be fulfilled, before our resolutions are completed, we must first understand why we're doing what we're doing. On this episode, we're taking a look at what it means to be a man of purpose and what it means to live a life fully committed and devoted to your unique calling. This week on the To Be Men podcast. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the To Be Men podcast, where we come together as men to challenge one another, to hold each other accountable, and to help each other become better. Better husbands, better brothers, better fathers, better men. If it's your first time with us, I'm glad that you're here. I hope that you learned something and that it impacts you and makes a difference in your life. If you like the content that we're putting out, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on your notifications so you're notified when there's new content out there. If you're back after another episode, welcome back, brother. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you're learning and growing and becoming better. Hey, y'all. Well, listen, it's a new year. It's 2025, which is crazy to say out loud, but it is what it is. We're here. And as you guys know, I love this time of year. I love New Year's, the 2 weeks before, the 2 weeks in. It's just such a mental time of being reformed and redefined and realigned and repurposed. And look, listen, I know we can decide whenever we want to change our lives. We can start today, and every day is a new start. And I believe that with every fiber of my being. But there's something about a new year, something about that calendar turning over, something about realizing I've lived one more year. I've got 1 year less year to live. I don't know. It for me, it sparks creativity. It sparks just desire for the future, and I get excited. I get fired up. Over the last couple of weeks, some of you guys might have been following on social media, but my wife and I, we've had the chance to go and do a vision meeting, which we try to do. We're trying to do every year now to cast vision for the future, see where we are in our family, in our finances, in our goals for our children, all of that. And that was an awesome time of growth and opportunity for us. I've also spent the last week or so doing some work for myself, whether it's preparing my planner, whether it's getting ready for the podcast, for my ministry, for my physical health, all of that, just getting ready for the future. I'm excited for what's to come. I know a lot of people out there are doomsayers and like, it's getting worse and worse, and potentially, but that means there's more of a need for men like you who want to be driven and ready to take action and solve the world's problems. Hey, one day at a time. We can all do it one day at a time. But as I was getting ready, as I was going through that, as I was planning for the future, obviously I spent some time in preparing this podcast and trying to figure out, is this still something I want to do? Is this still something that I see has value? Am I doing it in the right way? What can I change? What can I learn? What can I grow from? And one of the things I've really honed in on is the purpose behind this podcast, right? We talk about at the beginning that we're here to challenge one another and to help each other become better. And that is really a key idea of this podcast. But I think it's got to be more than that. It's more than just becoming better, but it's also about helping others grow and helping others become better, right? Because if I just do this for myself, then that's great. My family is blessed by it, and that's good. But if you do it, and if somebody else does it, and if we grow and expand, then more communities, more families, more people are impacted, and we can make a bigger difference. And so as I was thinking about that, up until now, we've really focused around three main ideas that revolve and that really resonate with the purpose and the role of a man. And those were right to protect, to provide, and to preside, right? We're meant to protect our families, protect the weak, protect those that can't protect themselves. We're meant to provide for our homes, both financially, emotionally, mentally. We're meant to preside over our homes, lead our families. For my sake, it's lead them in a Christ-like manner, lead them closer to God, lead them in a way that gets them to know God intimately. For some of you guys, maybe you don't believe in that, and so you're leading them with whatever values you have, and that's fine for you. But that's what we have been revolving around: protect, provide, and preside. As I look deeper, I realized that we're missing something there. Those things are great. I think those a great foundation for men to grow on, but there's more. And so I've been praying and thinking and studying, and and I think I found what I want to implement in my life and for you guys. On top of those three: protect, provide, preside, and then we are also called to persevere and to have purpose. We're called to persevere. We're called to withstand the storms. We're called to push through the hard times. We're called to rebuild when things are broken. We're called to have perseverance and be men who persevere the storm. And then we're called to be men of purpose, right? Because why bother protecting, providing, presiding, and persevering if there is no purpose, if there is no big why, if there is no overarching value that drives all of that? And so what I've decided to do from now on is that instead of just saying, hey, I'm called to protect, provide, and preside, I'm also saying I'm called to protect, provide, preside, persevere, and have purpose. Say that 5 times fast, right? P. I like acronyms and things like that. But one of the big changes that is coming forward for the podcast for that is that from now on, we're going to be talking specifically on each one of these values throughout the year. And we'll spend some time talking about, what it means to have purpose, talk some time about what it means to protect, what does it mean to persevere, to preside and provide, and we'll be rotating, right? That's another thing that I've learned that, as most of you guys know, I have lived and have functioned in full-time ministry now for about 8 years. And one very common theme that we as pastors do is that we have sermon series, and each series is kind of a big idea, and then each sermon is nuggets of that idea. And so for the podcast, we'll be doing the same thing, right? We'll do a series on presiding, we'll do a series on protecting, and then each episode in that series will be a little bit more in depth. And so, of course, with it being the new year and talking about goals and dreams and all of that, I figured what better topic to start on than on purpose. One of my old mentors used to say, you were created on purpose, with purpose, and for a purpose, which for me always meant, well, then I have to live purposefully, right? If I'm going to fulfill all of those purposes. And so as I was getting ready for this series and for this first episode of the year, I decided, you know what? We're going to spend some time talking about purpose. See, because many of us have goals and dreams and desires and all of these things that we want to do. But if we don't have purpose, if we don't have a big why behind all of that, then why are we doing what we're doing? And many men are living lives not knowing the answer to that question. Many men are just going by on their day-to-day, living life, going to work, checking the box, being with the family, doing things that are good, but without true purpose and meaning behind them. And so I want to talk about today on how you can discover your unique purpose and calling. And look, listen, I'm just a guy, right? I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. The other time, I kind of know what I'm talking about. And I'm learning just as we're learning. This is an experience for me to grow and for me to become better. So sometimes take what I say with a grain of salt. But there are certain times where I want to speak from experience and I want to speak from a place of authority in your life. But more so than that, I want to speak from the Bible. Because whether you're a believer or not, we can all agree on that there is intense wisdom in the Bible. And so the main idea being we want to discover our purpose and our calling. Well, for that, I want us to look at Jeremiah 29, verse 11. If you're a believer, you've probably heard this passage 1,000 times in graduations, in dedications, in ceremonies at church. You've heard it over and over again. And that's because it is a great passage when it comes to talking about purpose. And if you're not a believer, well, then this is a great passage for you to grasp the wisdom that comes from these words and understanding that purpose is beyond what I'm doing. Purpose is beyond just me. And so Jeremiah 29, verse 11 says this, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare and not for evil, plans for your good and not for evil, plans to give you a future and a hope." Man, whether you're a believer or not, those words can make an impact in your life to see that there's a plan for your future, a plan full of hope. Man, I don't know about you, but that gets me excited. And so that leads me right into point number 1, being this: purpose is God-given, not self-defined. Purpose is God-given, not self-defined. Too many of us try to give our life its purpose. Too many of us try to say, this is why I live for, this is what I'm doing. And at times it can be the wrong thing. It can be too large of a thing or too small of a thing. It can leave us with a burden on our shoulders because we maybe feel purposeless and directionless. And so when we realize that our purpose isn't from ourselves, but instead it comes from God, well, that changes everything. Some say that might put a little bit more burden because now I feel like this is a higher purpose than even I could have imagined. But I'd like to say that gives me some peace and some hope because I know that there's a purpose greater than what I can think of. My mind is only finite. I'm only but a man. And so I cannot think beyond what I know. And I know this, that God has something greater than whatever I could imagine. And so I want to motivate you to think about that your purpose is God-given, not self-defined. I was thinking of an analogy for this, and it made me think of a sports car. A sports car is phenomenal. It's got the engine and the wheels. Obviously, everybody knows what a car has. I don't know why I'm explaining what a sports car looks like, but you get the gist, right? It's a machine of power. And yet, without a driver, it's useless. Without somebody to steer and maneuver, it's just a hunk of metal. You and I are that sports car or muscle car, if you prefer. You and I are that machine. You and I are that hunk of metal that without the driver, without that purpose, without someone to maneuver and guide, will sit idly by, rusting away, useless. So let's not be men who are just here to be here. Instead, let's be men who seek after God and after his purpose. Here's another scripture I want to share with y'all. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10 says, "For we are God's masterpiece, and he has created us anew in Christ Jesus so that we can do the good things he planned for us long ago." God has plans for us. God has things he wants us to do in his name and for his glory. And so it's up to you and I to seek out that purpose in him. And so that's what I want to challenge you to do today, to go and seek God and ask him to reveal your destiny, reveal your purpose, to clarify and affirm what you know you're called to do. And don't just ask and listen and write it down. Take a pen and a paper with you and write down what comes to mind over the next couple of weeks as you're seeking God for your purpose, as you're asking him, Lord, what do you have for me? What was I created for? When things come to mind, write them down, pray on them, meditate on them, and figure out what your God-given purpose is. Number one, purpose is God-given, not self-defined. Number two, purpose aligns with your gifts and your passions. Your purpose aligns with your gifts and your passions. All of us have gifts. All of us have talents. However big, however small we may think they are, we have all been endowed and gifted with something special. Whether it's our time, our treasure, our talents, our skill sets, maybe it's your sense of humor, maybe it's your confidence in communication, maybe it's your listening ear, maybe it's your sympathetic heart, whatever the case is, you have a skill and you have a passion, and those are usually pretty tied closely to your purpose. See, because God has placed, just like he placed purpose on you, he's placed those passions in your heart. He's placed those drives in your heart. So what are you passionate about? What fires you up when you wake up in the morning and you think about XYZ, feeding the hungry, changing the world, finding renewable energy, climbing a mountain, whatever the case may be? What drives you? What motivates you to go above and beyond? Usually your purpose and your passion go hand in hand. As you guys know, last year I wanted to read 50 books in 1 year. And spoiler alert, I didn't make it to 50. I only got to 33, but we'll talk about that on another episode. Needless to say, I tried and I didn't make it to 50. But one of the books that I've started reading and that I'm continuing to read in this year is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And in that, he has a quote that really stood out to me in relation to this. He says, habits are the intersection between knowledge, skill, and desire. Knowledge is knowing what to do and why to do it. Skill is knowing how to do it, and desire is wanting to do it. When you have those three things in play, knowledge, skill, and desire, that is where your habits are formed. And I want to take it a step further, and that is where your passion and your purpose is. See, when you know what has to be done, when you know how to do it and you want to do it, you have a drive and a desire to make things happen, that is a good clue for your purpose. And again, here's another piece of scripture for you guys. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10 says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others. To serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. Everything we've been given, everything that we have is not just for us. It's not just for you. It's not just for me. Our skills, our gifts, our talents, they are to be used to serve others and to help others grow and be better. So what's your action step here, right? Well, I would say write out your top 3 skills, write out your top 3 strengths, your top 3 passions, and start to reflect on how they can work together and how you can use those to serve other people. See, because whatever your purpose is, it's probably going to be some way or another related to serving others. And so when you can figure out how your strengths, how your passions coexist and co-align to serve others, you're one step closer to finding your God-given purpose. Number 1, purpose is God-given, not self-defined. Number 2, purpose aligns with your gifts and your passions. And number 3, purpose requires action, not perfection. I'm going to say that one more time because it's important for me to hear it as well. Purpose requires action, not perfection. If I'm being honest with you guys, and I want to be honest with you guys as much as I can, too many times I've been stuck in analysis paralysis, or I'm trying to get the information and the details and the gear and the skill set and get everything just right before I get started. This podcast is a perfect example of that. I wanted to make sure I had the camera and the mic and the lights and everything and the content and all of that prepared before I ever turned it on. And if that was the case, I never would have turned it on. We'd still be waiting because it really is not perfect. Quite frankly, it's not even close. But I'm guaranteeing you that many of you listening are in the exact same boat. You're waiting for the right time, for the right moment, for the right circumstance to be there for you to take action. Whether it's, hey, I want to ask this girl I want her to marry me, but I have to wait till I have the money and the house and the time, and all of those things are important. You should have those before you step into a marriage, but you're never going to be ready. Or like us, I want to be ready to have kids. I want to make sure that we've got everything figured out. We take all the classes and we read all the books and we safety-proof the house, and you should safety-proof the house. And we do all of those things, and then maybe we can talk about kids. Or in your career, I want to make sure I've got all the schooling before I go and get some experience, and then I want to make sure I got all the experience before I go and ask for the promotion. Sometimes you just got to go. You just got to go, and you just got to take a step of faith, take a leap of action, and just do it. If you're waiting for the right moment, that right moment is right now. The right moment is right now. Take the action, take the step, and see how God will guide those steps. It's called walking by faith, not by sight, not because I know everything's going to work out, not because I know that I'm going to have a perfect success rate at the end, not because I know that it's all just going to be great. No, I don't know. But you know what? I'm taking the step of faith and believing that God is guiding my steps, and that sooner or later I will arrive at my purpose. And so that means everything I do with purpose, and I do it on purpose, and I do it for a purpose. Check this out. Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as if you were working for the Lord and not for human masters. Whatever you do, do it with your full strength as if unto God. Man, when you think about that, it makes you think, okay, I want to do things great and big and with all my heart as if unto God. So what's that step for you guys? Identify one small, meaningful action that you can take this week that moves you closer to finding out your purpose. I don't know what that is for you. For me, it's continuing to make these episodes. It's reading more on leadership and discipleship and finding people to mentor. Whatever that step is for you, take it and make a difference. So there you have it. 3 key steps to finding your purpose. Number 1, remember that purpose is God-given and not self-defined. Number 2, figure out how your purpose aligns with your skills and with your passions. And number 3, remember that purpose requires action, not perfection. In his book, Start With Why, Simon Sinek talks about people don't follow visions, people follow leaders. But people want to follow leaders who know why they're doing what they're doing. It doesn't matter if you know what you're doing or if even you know how to do it. Those are only the beginning. When you understand why you're doing what you're doing, you will make leaps and bounds of progress in your life. Guys, it's been great. I'm loving this. Let me know what you guys think about this content. Again, we'll keep talking about purpose over the next couple of weeks, how to set purpose-driven goals, how to find and share your purpose with others, and many more things like that. So again, make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Make sure you're liking the content, turning on that notification bell. And if you're not following me on Instagram, go over there to @2BMenPodcast and at John Portillo. Either one, they're both kind of connected and doing the same thing. But you can go and find life updates and other stuff like that. And if you like the content, let me know, put a comment, send over a message. I can't wait to see you guys next time. I don't know what this was.